Friends, welcome back. We're talking today about triangle similarity. We're going to use angle. So if we have two triangles and two of the angles are congruent to two other angles in a different triangle, then those triangles are similar. The angles have to be congruent. In a previous lesson, I showed that, for example, if we have an equilateral triangle, every triangle has 180 degrees. So if it's equilateral, that means three of those sides are 60 degrees. Here I have a 60-degree triangle, or 180 degrees, each angle being 60 degrees. And here I have an equilateral triangle. Each angle is 60 degrees. Now, are those triangles congruent? Absolutely not. You can clearly see that they are not, but they are similar if you have at least two angles. And here's the thing, if you have two angles that are the same, the third one has to be the same because it has to add up to 180. So it's angle, because if it's two angles, then it has to be the third one. So it could be angle, or it could be angle, but that's a lot to say. And we're mathematicians, we're lazy. We don't want to have to say anything more than we want to. Okay, so what I just explained, here's the formal way of saying it. If two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of another triangle, then those triangles are similar. So let's use our information from previous lessons about similarity statements and proportions, and we will figure this guy out. Okay, so for our first example, we're going to determine if these two triangles are similar. If they are, provide a similarity statement. Okay, so looking at this, let's look at this smaller triangle here. If we do this, we have 56, 51, and then we don't know what this is. So we really have two triangles here. It might help if I draw out that second triangle. So we have 56 and 51 degrees. Now, and this is W, D, and V. Now, if we were to subtract the 51 and 56 from 180, we would end up with 73 degrees. Okay, so there's our first triangle. Now, our large triangle here has 73 and 56, and if you subtract 73 and 56 from 180, you end up with 51. So our large triangle and our small triangle, they are similar because they have at least two angles that are congruent. So we take a look at that and we want to write a similarity statement. For the first part of your similarity statement, it doesn't matter what order you go in. So I could go FDE, I could say FED, it doesn't matter. We'll go with FDE. Is similar, again, that's shorthand for similar, to triangle. And so this is when it does matter, because I went in this direction like that, I have to do the same, WDV, and there you go. There is your similarity statement. Let's take a look at our next example. All right, example number 2, are these similar by angle, and if they are, write a similarity statement. So looking at this, in previous lessons, we've talked about things that are obvious but not given. And one of those is vertical angles. Remember, vertical angles are congruent, but it's not always marked. So vertical angles like this guy right here and this guy right here, those are congruent, but it's just one of those things that it's obvious, but it's not shown. So you got to mark that down. Now, what we are told is that these lines are parallel. So when two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then those alternate interior angles are congruent. So if I do this right here, that's going to be congruent to this guy right here, because here's my parallel lines, and then they're cut by that transversal. So remember that, back to that lesson. If you haven't caught on now, in geometry, things build upon itself. So if you don't understand a previous lesson, you really got to make sure that you catch up on it, because it will come up again, just like I've shown you in future lessons. So, okay, so now looking at this, if I were to cover up one of these triangles, you would see that I would have two angles, and then over here I have two angles here. So these are similar by angle, similarity. Now I have to write a similarity statement. So triangle, I'm going to do this top one. I'm going to say KLM. Again, it doesn't matter that order. However, and so I went with the 1 dash, 2 dash, and then the blank one. But then your second one, the order does matter, because you have to match what that first one is. So I'm going to do the 1 dash, 2 dash, and then the blank one. So triangle. I can't draw a triangle. KEF. Excellent. That is my similarity statement. Let's do one more example if you can hang in there with me. Let's determine if these guys are similar by angle, angle. Okay, one of those other things that I said, so I said vertical angles are congruent, right? That's not an obvious but not given. Another one of those is reflexive property. If I were to draw this triangle out, this smaller one, right? This guy is going to be congruent to this guy on the big triangle because, and we don't need to know what the degrees are. We just know that they're congruent because they're the exact same angle. Remember, that's your reflexive property. But then we know that this is 45, and on the big triangle, that looks like it's 43. So these angles would need to match in order for this to be congruent by, or not congruent, these to be similar by angle, angle. Because these don't match and because we don't know this other side, then in that case, not similar. These triangles are not similar. All right, excellent work. If you have any questions, let your teacher know. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.